YouTube, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, everybody. I'm so excited to have you all back together again, and in today's video, we are doing a Illumination ranking. Today, the newest Illumination film, Despicable Me 4, came out in theaters, and so that means today we're going to go ahead and stop and rank all 15 Illumination films from the worst to the best. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, Minions, I think are the best part about the Despicable Me franchise, but when it comes to the first film of the Minions spin-off franchise, I think it is one of the weaker Despicable Me films, but also one of the weaker Illumination films, mainly because the Minions are great characters, but they're not really great characters where you can build off a story off of them where they can change and grow. And there are some funny bits and stuff, but it's also kind of dark humor, and it's also just a film, like, once again, you can't really relate to these characters because they all talk in a different language you don't understand, so it's just kind of a weird film. Now, this is one of the one of the first Illumination films that they did off of a Dr. Seuss book. And I never particularly was the biggest fan of Dr. Seuss adaptations, and this one in particular, I mean, I love the Grinch, I liked Horton Hears a Who from a couple years back before this, but this one in particular with the Lorax, I just never really understood the concept that he's like, you have this orange man trying to protect trees, like what? Like, I don't understand all that. Danny DeVito did a somewhat good performance, the animation is still good, but I just never really understood this film, so it's fine.
Drop that.
And now we have the newly released Despicable Me 4, and yeah, it's easily the worst one. Now, pretty much the rest of this list is good to great, and for me, Despicable Me 4 is a somewhat fun, okay film from the Despicable Me franchise. It doesn't really do anything, like, there's some funny humor in here. I like the certain arcs with the characters. The animation still looks really good, but the specific story here, it's not really something I liked. Some of the new characters were okay, but nothing here, it just feels like, and me personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of Despicable Me, like the first 3 films. I loved Minions Rise of Gru, which you'll see where it ends up on my list, but the first 3 Despicable Me movies, like, they're good. They were never something special to me, but this one in particular was okay, but easily the worst one of them. So this is Illumination's version of The Grinch, and I think it's pretty good. I actually would enjoy this one over Despicable Me 4, and there's a couple things that I did like. The animation and the way they animated Whoville was cool. Benedict Cumberbatch's performance as the Grinch was pretty good. This version of Mr. Grinch is really good, but it just kind of feels stale, where you have like a montage, a flashback of Grinch overeating and, you know, depression eating. Like, it's just wild that they would put that in a film of this nature. And there's some funny bits here and there. It tells somewhat a good story, but it just makes you want to go back and rewatch the original animated version, or the Jim Carrey version. And so therefore, I can't really say much about this one. So the original Secret Life of Pets, I'm actually a massive fan of, and when they announced they were making a sequel, I was like, yes, let's get that going. And I thought they did somewhat a pretty good job. I like the setup where, you know, Max and Duke, they now are living a good life. Their owner is now married to this guy, they now have a kid, and now Max's responsibility in protecting this kid has kind of caused a sort of scratchiness on him, and so then they go on a road trip. You have Han Solo, not Han Solo, what's his name? Harrison Ford as a dog in here, or a rooster, I think. His character's name is Rooster. You also have Kevin Hart's bunny character being a superhero in this film and saving a tiger from a circus. It has a couple of fun things. Definitely some memorable things. But I personally was never the biggest fan of this one. Mainly because I just didn't really like the plot. It also just felt like a little too much. Almost felt like there was a lot going on. So, yeah, it's a little bit lower on the list for me. But I still do kind of like it. Despicable Me 2, the first one was actually pretty good. And now you get this one, and it actually has some good moments. The scene with Margot and that boy, the sunshine cloud away, way. That scene is always really good. The chip hat, of course, it's something that's been questioned to this day. But and of course you do have Gru falling in love with the woman. But to be honest, it's just one that I just kind of feels like the actual plot of this one, it's not really memorable for me, so it comes lower on the list for me.
Drop that.
Now, Hop, to be honest, feels like the least of Illumination's films, where it just doesn't really feel like an Illumination film at all. Mainly because most of the film is live action, and then you do have CGI characters, but they're somewhat animated, and so it's kind of crazy of how good it looks as a CG film. Yet when you have this chick turning into like a bunny, and it somewhat looks good, but then you realize this is in a live action cartoon. This is just so freaky, but at the same time, it is kind of enjoyable. So I actually kind of enjoyed the film that we got from Illumination as their second movie. Now, the Super Mario Bros. Movie was actually pretty good. When they first announced that Illumination was making a Super Mario Bros. Movie, I was so excited to see Mario on the big screen, to see all the Mario references this world brought into the movie world, but also just to see of how the story was going to be. And I think that's why it's a little bit lower, is because the story is not great. It has a lot of issues. Some of the characters I'm not exactly as crazy about. There's some performances I actually did like. Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, Chris Pratt surprisingly as Mario, Jack Black as Bowser was good, and I did love the world, and I think, hopefully, the Mario sequels that we get in the Mario Nintendo world of Illumination are much better, and they both continue the greatness of that world, but also continue the greatness of the characters that are well established throughout Mario world. So, yeah, I can't wait for the Mario movies, for the next two Mario movies, or the next couple Mario movies, but this one was still good. The original Illumination film is still pretty good. The best thing about this one is the soundtrack, but also just the characters. Steve Carell as Gru is just such a lovable character of becoming despicable to a good man. Just a lot of fun, and the jokes are great. It's a pretty good movie. Not my favorite, but it is still very good. Now, this one I think is easily the best in the Despicable Me franchise, where you have a villain that is very fun and funny, but then you also have like this conflict between the kids and the mom, and they're trying to, the mom's trying to connect with the kids and all that. And so in a way, I connected with this story a little bit more, and it just has a lot more fun antics. Though I'm starting to maybe consider the first Despicable Me more, but yeah, it's still a pretty good film.
Drop that.
So this is the latest Illumination film that came out before Despicable Me 4 last year in December, and I actually thought this film was very good. My sister actually went to go see this in theaters as well, and she really liked it. And the movie has beautiful animation. It's a fun story. The characters are fun. It just has a lot of fun scenes, and it's just a nice film to end the year off in December of 2023. I thought it was a pretty good film. Now we have Sing 2, and of course, the original Sing is top tier, and I thought this one easily just a little bit edged out the first film, almost edged out the first film. What I love about this one is that it takes what was so great about the first film, does a little bit more bigger, and adds some new conflicts for all the characters. So you have Johnny, who learned to play the piano, but now he has to learn how to dance. You have Mina, who now knows how to sing now and be close to everyone, but how does she be close with that one person? And then you have Rosita, who needs to learn of how to not be afraid of heights. And the music in here, the animation in here is great. It's a great sequel. Not top tier. I missed some of the characters from the original. Still a very good sequel from Illumination. Now, Minions Rise of Gru, when they first announced that they're making a Minions 2, but it's sort of a prequel starring Gru, I actually was kind of excited, and I saw this film, and I'm like, wow, this is just the most fun I've ever had in a Despicable Me movie. And what makes it work so well is that it's a Minions sequel from the 2015 film, and the best parts are the Minions, but you make Gru the main character so that way you can have the Minions doing awesome things. Of course, the story with Gru is actually pretty good as he wants to be this big bad supervillain and he has this villain idol. But then when it comes to the Minions, as they're learning Kung Fu, they also turn into animals that can do Kung Fu. It is just so much fun, and the animation's gorgeous, the fight scenes are amazing, and it's just a ton of fun, and one of the most fun times I've ever had in a Despicable Me movie ever. Get it! And of course, I am a massive fan of the original Sing. I think it's safe to say that I'm a massive fan of movies that star animals. You know, Lion King, Finding Nemo, Kung Fu Panda, and this is another example of that, where you have this koala bear who wants to bring a bunch of people together to do a singing competition so they can win like $10,000 or $1,000. And what's so great about this is it's able to have all the stuff that you like about Illumination films, but be so realistic. Whether it's like Johnny, who's dealing with his gang father and his gang, or Ash, the porcupine, who is dealing with not so good boyfriend. And so all that colliding, even Rosita kind of dealing with a lot at home with her hundreds of kids. All of this stuff plays very well, but at the same time has laughs, great music, great characters, good animation, and just great sequences throughout the entire film, and creates one of my favorite films I've seen of all time. And once again, I love The Secret Life of Pets, and part of the reason for that is most people can say it's because it's basically the same story as like Toy Story, and I think that's kind of why I like it. It's Toy Story, but with dogs. But in some ways, I probably would say I like this one more than Toy Story, and I know that's kind of hard to say. I technically would watch Toy Story much more than this, but for me, Secret Life of Pets just brings back a new vibe. The story here is, of course, great, but there's different types of things where you get to explore killer animals and how they don't really like their owners, and what Kevin Hart plays this amazing performance with his bunny. But then you also have like these animals that are friends with Max, and they actually go out to find him, and they kind of explore the streets of New York and how crazy that gets. And it kind of has a lot of fun that I feel like the first Toy Story never really did, but it just has a lot more fun and feels a lot more relatable and has a lot more fun antics with a New York setting. So it just has a lot more fun and and takes that Toy Story concept and uses it better. So for me, Secret Life of Pets is my favorite Illumination film, and that's why it's number 1. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.